What is up, you guys? Coach Grace here. Welcome to Virtual Orange Theory Workshop. Today, the topic is how to hack stress. And I think that this came at a perfect time because pretty much everyone's life has been turned upside down and we are all dealing with different levels of stress right now. So today we're just going to talk about it. We're going to talk a little bit about the science behind stress, and then we are going to talk a little bit about how to manage your stress and deal with your stress. I know that during this time, maybe, you're trying to deal with working at home, taking care of your kids, whatever that may be. So hopefully this can give you a little bit of information and some tips to help you manage your stress. So let's just go ahead and get started with some statistics. More than 3/4 of adults last year in 2019 reported physical or emotional symptoms of stress. So that might be headaches, that might be fatigue, sleeping disruptions. Stress can show up in a number of ways. 44% of adults say that they exercise or they walk to manage their stress. 47 say that they listen to music, and 37 say that they spend time with friends or with family. So those are just some ways that people might manage their stress. I know for me, exercise is a huge one, as well as listening to music and hanging out with family and friends. All can help me manage my stress. Nearly half of adults say that they lie awake at night because of stress in the prior month. So it can keep you up at night if you have something stressful in your life going on. Nearly 3 in 5 adults say that they could have used more emotional support in the last year. So I think that that's a big one. I think in our society today, a lot of people just don't talk about their emotions as much. We all are dealing with so much, and sometimes we feel that it's not significant to talk about, but guess what it is. So call your loved ones, call your friends, talk it out with them. I promise it'll make you feel better. According to the National Library of Medicine, when placed under stress, the human body will react by releasing the hormones cortisol and adrenaline. So cortisol is going to be linked to mood, motivation, and fear. It can alter your immune system response and suppress the digestive system. So if you are getting sick a lot, or if you notice, digestive system is kind of out of whack, it could be increased levels of cortisol that have been going on for a long time. Too much cortisol in the hippocampus can repair thought and formation of memories. So we do need some cortisol, but it's when that cortisol is on overdrive that can affect us negatively. And then adrenaline, we probably all know adrenaline as when you have that rush of adrenaline, it raises your heart, it elevates your blood pressure, and it boosts your energy. So let's talk about those flight or fight systems. So when we're in that flight system, our adrenaline and our cortisol, and I think, gonna rise. And when I think the best example, people always say, like, if you're getting chased by a bear, wow, you are in that flight mode, you are ready to go. All of your senses are going up, and it's almost some people say too, like, if in serious situations, you can almost have like superpowers. Like people who aren't super strong have been able to like lift a car up just because their adrenaline's so high, and that's what our body's meant to do. But then after those situations happen, essentially that adrenaline and that cortisol is supposed to come down. And what's happening now with today's society is that we are staying in our elevated adrenaline and our cortisol. And the thing is, our body only recognizes stress as stress, whether it's good stress, whether it's bad stress, our body recognizes it and those hormones just rise. So your body is not going to know the difference between if you're actually getting chased by a bear and that stress is elevating, or whether you stress yourself out because you had a bad day at work, or maybe you got in a fight with someone, whatever it may be. When that adrenaline and that cortisol rises, it's up to us to, find those ways to bring it back down. So we have chronic stress in our lives. This might be financial strains, demanding jobs, caring for a sick family member or friend, divorce, death. And then we have those acute stresses like delivering a presentation, trying something new, first day at a new job, adapting to a new schedule, a new workout routine. And like I said, again, we do want some stress in our lives, but we don't want to overload it. We don't want to burn out. Acute stress is good, and it reminds us that when the body is placed under stress, hormones are released that elicit responses in the body like muscle tensing up, increased heart rate, quickened breathing, increased alert, sharper senses, And this is your body's way of basically protecting itself. So the problem is that when we do go into that flight mode, if it's chronic, this is when we start to see issues. So if we're chronically in that flight and that adrenaline and that cortisol up, we can start to have things like high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, weight gain, depression and anxiety, sleep problems, headaches, skin problems, menstrual, reproductive issues. So that is where we have that fine line of having that good stress in our life and then overstressing ourselves. There's different ways that you can start to acknowledge your stress and pick up to it. So kind of start to, pay attention and be aware if you have trouble concentrating, headaches, anxiety, stomach problems, fatigued, decreased libido, skin irritations, muscle tensing, teeth grinding, apathy. Those can all be different ways that you can kind of recognize if you are starting to experience that chronic stress in your life, and start to notice when that is happening and how you're feeling. So I am a visual person, so I have done a little drawing. Don't judge my drawing skills too much, but I think that this is really, I'm sorry, my windows are open. I think that this is just a really good way to start to look at kind of that good versus that bad stress and where that fine line is in between. So we have this curve, the stress level curve. You have your performance, and then we have different levels within the curve. So the first level of that curve is actually too little stress. Those super, and that can happen too, not having enough stress. I think it's pretty rare in our society, but you do know those some people who are just so laid back, they don't really care about anything. And that actually can cause that lack of motivation and that exhaustive state. And that's called our underload. So that's going to be kind of in this beginning. This is kind of our optimal stress where we want to be. So, you want to have the good stress of maybe working out. Working out is actually a stressor on your body, but it can be a good stressor if you do it in small bouts, if you do it correctly, and if you take that optimal recovery. So, that might be in there. Stress of maybe meeting someone new, that can be a little stress. Starting a new job, those small good stresses. So this is our optimal stress. This one is when we're just over and we have that too much stress. So that is going to be our overload and our fatigue. And then finally, in the end, that is your anxiety, panic, anger. If you are overly stressed, you might have a burnout. You might just have a complete breakdown. And I know that can happen a lot, especially if you don't deal with your stress and you just continue to let it build, and it just becomes too much on your mind and your body. And then you're in this space where you have that breakdown. I had it, we probably all had it. And that's why we're here. So that we don't have the breakdown and we manage our stress. So that's just the little curve. So your optimal stress occurs somewhere between being laid back and experience that fatigue. Once you begin to experience the fatigue, negative side effects begin to kick in. So when you start to experience fatigue, that's when you need to, hey, step back. Where do I need to decrease stress in my life? Where do I need to manage it? Okay, so we've talked about what stress is, where it can come from, chronic versus acute stress, how we need some stress in our lives. Now we're going to kind of talk about, okay, so I have this stress in my life. What do I do? Your girl has another sign. So stress, this is our word. First, when we notice that stress, we're gonna stop. Pinpoint what is bothering you, what is triggering your response. So for me, I know if I have a really busy day and I'm just going to clients, teaching Orange Theory, trying to, just get from one place to another really quick, and I kind of overbook myself, and one small thing happens, like even if someone cuts me off, that will just stress me out immediately. And I know that from myself, something like that. So that's when I stop. So we stop first. From there, take deep breaths. We talk about in Orange Theory, even in our classes, the importance of breathing whenever you are exercising. Well, guess what? Those breaths those breaths are also just as important in your everyday life. Most people actually have really shallow breaths, and that is part of that chronic stress, because your body, when your breathing is increased, it thinks that you're stressed. Most people are just chest breathing. So if you put your hand on your chest and just breathe normally, most people are just elevating their chest, when really our lungs are down here, our belly's down here. Our air, when we breathe in, can go all the way down into our belly, into our lungs. Most of us are not taking advantage to that. So what I want you to do is I want you to place both hands on your belly for a second. Close your eyes. We're going to inhale for 4 and exhale for 4. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Feel your belly expand. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Feel your belly release. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Release. Already, you probably feel better just from taking 3 deep breaths. When we breathe deeply, we actually send a response to our brain that lets us know that it's okay to relax. So whenever you are feeling stressed out, take a step back, breathe deeply. I promise it'll help you out right there. All right, moving on to our R, that is reframe. So now you know what is bothering you. Is this a negative stressor? Can you change perspective and explain it in more of a positive way? So if you notice, that your stress might be giving a presentation, instead of thinking negatively and thinking all the things that could go wrong, mess up, start to reframe that. Start to say, I've prepared for this presentation. I'm ready to give this presentation. I've practiced and I'm going to do awesome. Start to turn that negative situation, those negative thoughts, into more positive thoughts, and you'll feel better. All right, going on to our E. This is establish a plan. So when you feel that stress, can you go for a walk? Can you call a friend? Exercise, meditate, journal? So this is kind of where you have to find what helps you to combat stress, and it might be different forms and for different responses. So for me, I know that if I'm stressed when I am working on something for school, like writing a paper, if I'm doing a project or something and I just am stressed and I can't do it anymore, usually I'm like, oh, I just want to have a snack. And that is where like emotional eating come in and stress. So I know during that time, I usually go for a walk and I feel better. I know if I'm stressed because I get in a fight with one of my friends, then usually when it comes to that, I'll kind of journal about it and get my thoughts on a paper. So you might respond in a different way depending on what the stress is in your life. We're down here, step into action. So whatever calming effect you chose to do it. Don't even think about it, just do it. And finally, smile. Smiling is calming, it releases endorphins. So I know that this can be hard too. Like if someone just rear ends you and you're late to work, like it can be really, really hard to smile in a situation like that. But at that point, you kind of have to think of the bigger picture. That people have a lot of worse. Things could be a lot worse. If you're okay, if the other person's okay, it's just a car at the end of the day. So try to smile and find light in those situations. I know it can be hard. So some potential stress action plans that I'm going to give you now. Listen to music that makes you happy. Now they have virtual therapists. And I think for a long time, I was someone that was very like, I'm not diagnosed with anxiety or depression or anything like that, but I think that it's really, really good. And I think it's really healthy for you to just talk to someone. And not even a friend, an outside person who doesn't really know anything, they can give you really good feedback. And I have done that now for a few months, and it has helped tremendously. So don't feel like you are like depressed or anxious just because you have to talk to someone. I think it's extremely healthy. And there's people everywhere. You can find them anywhere, and they're super nice. So talking to a therapist right now, even people are offering like virtual therapy. So look into that. At-home spa treatments. This is one of my favorite things to relax. Epsom salt candles in a tub, 20 minutes, soak, breathe. It's the perfect. Do a little face mask. Great. Exercise. So we probably all know that exercise, yes, it is a stressor on the body, but it can also be a de-stressor. So just going for a long walk, yoga, lifting weights. Exercise can be different depending on different types of people. So find the exercise that makes you happy. One of my favorite things to do is to dance in the kitchen to music when I'm stressed. Put on your favorite tunes, boogie like nobody's watching you. Learning a new hobby can be a really good way to manage stress because it takes your mind. Usually when we're stressed, we're thinking about that thing over and over and replaying the situation or replaying whatever it is that's stressing us. So find a different way to stimulate your brain so that you take your thoughts off of that. Meditate is one. If you've never meditated before, I highly, highly recommend it. And I think most people think meditating is just sitting like this, like the monks, and it's always not. You can find different forms of meditation. There's a million different apps out there to meditate, so give that a try. Do yoga. Yoga connects our breath to our body and helps to bring that mind, body, soul connection. So yoga can be really, really great for managing stress. There are I'm a yoga instructor, that's why I know, but there are tons of research that shows that yoga can decrease your stress. So there's a million free YouTube videos as well. Get out in nature. Nature can be a really good way to get out, release stress. And when you do have that time to spend in nature, try to detach from your phone and just be really present and mindful when you're out there. Finally, I just wanted these are some of my ways in essential oils, aromatherapy. I've been using these for about 2 years, and some ones, my favorite, are just a simple lavender. And what you can do with lavender oil is put it in your hands just like this, rub it around, and then do those deep breaths. And lavender can again help to calm you down. I already feel better. I love the smell of lavender. And you can usually get that now, essential oils you can get everywhere. I use plant therapy, but also the meditation and the worry-free ones are really great. And again, you can literally just open them, take them in and release. You can also put them in diffusers. So essential oils are one of my favorite. So that is my hacking stress. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your favorite ways that you can deal with stress and your favorite action plans. And I hope that this helps you during this time. We're all thinking of you. We're all thinking of each other. Reach out to your family, your friends, your loved ones. Even though we are being isolated, you can still connect virtually, and you can still tell someone that you're thankful that they're in their life. So thank you guys, and I'll see you soon.